Hello everyone, my name's Fran and I'm the Assistant Project Manager of the Chalk, Cherries and Chairs Landscape Partnership Scheme. Chalk, Cherries and Chairs is a 5-year scheme which is funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund and runs under 3 themes: wildlife, heritage and people. And through these themes we aim to connect local people to their local landscape. One way we have tried to do this is through books and storytelling in our Chilterns Stories festival. We commissioned 6 books to be written, all with the Chilterns landscape in mind, a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. These books are written by storytellers, playwrights, historians, school children and archaeologists, and have all been sent to your local schools and libraries, and we would like to tell you a bit about them. We hope these stories inspire those reading them to appreciate the value and beauty of this special place. So the first book we had published was The Ballad of Bodger's Wood, which is written by acclaimed children's poet Rachel Rooney. It explores the lives of 2 children who are drawn together through the Chilterns magical woodlands. When Marjorie meets an apprentice bodger boy called Arthur, they teach each other about their different lives and traditions. Their adventure in the woods soon turns to disaster, but it becomes a valuable opportunity to learn lessons from each other on our hopes for the future of the landscape and nature. My Home the Chilterns contains the winning entries from our children's writing competition, run by Wickham Museum. Local schools were encouraged to create stories focusing on what the Chilterns means to them and what is special about their landscape. 8 winning stories, including 1 overall winner, were chosen from the 40 entries from different schools. We hope you enjoy reading them. They are all really lovely, interesting stories. So now I'm going to hand over to the other authors of the books so they can tell you a bit more about the collection.
This is Hidden Hands, the new book put together by the Woodlanders Lives and Landscapes project. It tells the stories of some of the women and girls and children who lived in the villages in the Chilterns and who worked in some very specialised, very local craft industries from the 1850s to the 1950s. Some of them worked in the straw plat trade, which fed into the hat industry. Some of them made delicate lace trimmings. Others made seats using cane or rush for the chairs that were made in the area. And later on, some made beading trimmings, very specialised, glamorous fabrics for special dresses. But what was it actually like to do this kind of work? Hidden Hands looks at the everyday lives of some people working in these trades in the Chilterns. Things like, was the work hard? Well, it certainly could be. Did they work long hours? I should think they did. We've got evidence that a young woman in Lacey Green worked 11 hours a day for 6 days a week making lace. Did they earn a lot of money? And that would definitely be a no. They always earned much less than men did. What age did they work? Well, in the straw trade in the 1850s, there were children as young as 3 doing it. But this rose as time went on, and by 1918 you had to be 14 before you could have a full-time job. Otherwise you had to be going to school. So did things get better over time? Well, they probably did. Earnings certainly went up a bit, and young women probably found that they got some freedom and some independence and comradeship if they went out to work in workshops. But of course, life could be hard. They didn't earn very much at all. They worked long hours. But we can see in the book that they could also get enjoyment in their communities and take pleasure and pride in what they did. And these days we find that people are taking up things like lace making and straw plaiting.
Hi, my name's Sarah Clifford and I'm the writer of Sour Cherry Soup. This was a 40-minute one-person show which was inspired and informed by stories about cherries, cherry trees, cherry orchards that used to grow on the Chilterns until they were covered with housing. The story is introduced by Eva. On an open day in her garden. She sits by her own cherry tree and she tells us different stories about cherries, past, present and future. She introduces us to different characters, people who have different stories about different experiences about the cherries, but it's also very much a show about what the landscape is about now. It's not a reminiscence piece, it's about a living landscape and how that's changed and is still changing over the years. So lots of stories, lots of little anecdotes, a little bit of music, and hopefully a good read.
Hello, I want to tell you about our book In Their Own Words. So what is it about? Well, have you ever spoken to your grandma or your granddad or an elderly neighbour perhaps, or any older person, to ask them about their memories? What was life like for them in the past when they were young? Well, this book is a collection of just those kinds of memories. They're memories taken from interviews that were done in any time between the 1950s to the 1980s by historians who knew that it was really important to capture those memories, and they recorded the interviews. So we've got interviews of all people who worked in some of the key industries in the Chilterns: chair making, straw plaiting, beading, and they're a lovely collection, and you can actually read extracts from the interviews with a little bit of background context to understand them. So, for example, we've got two chair makers, Bert White from Beacon's Bottom and Sydney Wingrove, who were both worked in chair making. We have Ethel Warren, who lived in Stokenchurch, and she remembers her childhood. Life was very tough. They had very little money, and she says they were not the good old days, that life was hard. Then we have Nellie Keane, who was an expert beader, and she taught many women how to do beading. We've also got memories of lace making as well. So a wonderful collection, which we really hope that you will enjoy.
I'm Dr. Wendy Morrison, and I'm the Heritage and Archaeology Manager for the Chilterns National Landscape. I've just written a book about Grimm's Ditch for the Chalk, Cherries and Cherries project, funded by National Lottery Heritage Fund. There are a lot of earthworks across the southern part of the country called Grimm's Ditch, but this book focuses on the ones in Buckinghamshire. The book's called Facts and Fairy Tales because a lot of legends have grown up around what Grimm's Ditch is, what it was used for, even who built it. And we don't have a lot of facts to support those fairy tales. The book is really an introduction to archaeology through the lens of these features called Grimm's Ditch. We don't know an awful lot about what these ditches are, but the little that we do know can be substantiated through good archaeological practice. The book takes you through the very outlaying of where you might like to do an archaeological investigation, how we know what we know in the landscape, right the way through to looking at how artifacts are analysed, how they're preserved, and what we can learn from them, even how they're dated. And at the very end of the book, it tells you how you might be able to get involved with archaeology in your area. The book is aimed for 12 to 16-year-olds, but that doesn't mean anyone from 5 to 90 can't read it. I hope that people will read this, and it will encourage them not only to explore where Grimm's Ditch is in Buckinghamshire, but also to get involved in archaeology.